What is up, everybody? Welcome back to The Wire. We are joined by a special guest, Mr. Norman Fuller. He is an Owners Club member and somebody who's been making a lot of moves in the RV park world. Well, starting to. But Norman, welcome to the podcast, my friend. Let people know who you are, and it's a pleasure to have you here, my
Hi, thanks. Appreciate it, Michael and Paul. I'm Norman Fuller. I live in Arizona. I'm currently in Show Low. It's a little town, about 10,000 people. It's in the east side of the state near New Mexico, about 3 hours from Phoenix. We're up in the high mountains, so we have 4 seasons. We have snow on the ground right now. And
friend.
so Arizona is very diverse. Everyone's like, no way, that's not how it is. But yeah, it's not just desert. I've been in business for 31 years as a roofing contractor and general contractor. So during that time, I've done real estate in the sense of, hey, if I go build a spec home or if I buy a house and fix and flip it. But I never really did real estate intentional in the sense of buying and holding and having that be an asset class for me versus just a job, even though it's a high paying good job sometimes. Um, it just wasn't my thought process until just recently. In fact, January of this year, so January 24, we decided to be real estate investors instead of just business owners. So that's kind of where we're at.
That's really cool. That's really cool. So to touch on that a little bit, I know you had experience for 30 years as a general contractor. So you did fix and flips, I assume, spec homes, subdivisions. What made you, I guess, make that shift to being an investor, instead of just, being in the GC world?
Well, a couple things. Cash flow, long term, it takes a while to build it up, but to have some passive income, it's never truly passive. You're always working, but you're working differently. So a lot of people think, oh, I'll just collect that check and not have to do anything for it, but that's not really the case, as we all know. But it's a different kind of work. So like right now, in the general construction business, yeah, I've done the custom homes. We've done the, like you said, fix and flip subdivisions. We built two small subdivisions, all that good stuff. But as soon as you're done with it, the money's gone.
Hmm.
And, I did three fix and flips in like 22, I think it was. And, the money's gone. Yeah, you make a chunk of money and then it's gone. And now as I've, and I don't know why I didn't ever really realize it before, but I should have like done the Burr method with could have got my money back out. Then I could have had the money to do the next project and still held the asset, which, now I would have had some cash flow of renting them and would have had that property asset appreciating in value over the last, 3 more years, 2 more years, whatever it's been. Because, I mean, nobody would have known COVID would make everything go as crazy as it did, but the property value assets are always going to go up. Real estate, yes, it comes down, but eventually it always goes up. So, long-term projection is those would have been more valuable today, and somebody else would have been paying my mortgage payment by paying rent. So you have appreciation that's like, yeah, my home's appreciating, but I'm paying for that.
Right.
Right. So if I had those three properties appreciating because someone else is paying the rent, that's like a double win. Then you get depreciation, so that's a triple for tax purposes, so that's a triple win. So I don't know. I never thought of it before. Better late than never, though.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Norman, I remember when Mike and I connected during our retreat in Arizona, and we were at the Wrigley Mansion, and I remember you saying very distinctly that your better half, your woman in your life was the reason that things really started to take off in your life. What does that look like for you? And can you touch on how special that relationship is for you?
Yeah. Jennifer, she just joined Owners Club right before Boston.
Let's go.
Yeah. She's never been entrepreneurial of any kind, so this is a massive step for her. She's always had a W-2, needs that security, and she kind of watched me over the last 4 years of dating and said, okay, let's like I'm done with my job. Let's figure out how to make this other stuff work. So she's joined me. But I mean, any partner, whether it's a wife or your other significant other, or even your business partner, it's got to be the right person. They complement you and they support you and they help you, and if you're both working towards the same goals, you're going to grow. If you're both given 110%, you're going to grow. Partnerships should never be 50-50. And this is something that I think and learn. Like, a lot of people are like, well, it's 50-50, but it never is. There's always going to be times where one partner is in a bad place and they're giving less, and the other person needs to pick up the slack, and then vice versa. And if partners do that, like especially somebody that you love and you're with, uh, then that really just makes a difference. If they're behind you and supporting you, and no matter what, that makes a difference. You feel like you want to do it instead of like, oh, I have to, or begrudgingly, or like, I'm just not going to do this shit. Why work so hard?
Yeah.
That's a great
We
point.
we really relate to that. I think we saw a quote one day where it was like both partners have to feel like they have to give 60% and receive 40%. And if both partners are given 60% as opposed to that 50-50, it becomes a very beautiful thing because everybody's looking out for each other, and that's ultimately how you grow together, right? And I think
Right.
that bond that you establish in those times is so important. So I'm so happy that you have that, and congratulations. um,
Thanks.
that's amazing. She's able to join Owners Club, and and take a page out of your book and see how successful you've been thus far, and gain that inspiration to do it herself.
Yeah, we got married in July right after we met in Owners Club. So, woohoo.
Let's go.
So let's go.
That's
Congrats.
amazing. So with that relationship and everything and her going to the entrepreneurial side, did that give you like a boost in like enthusiasm and passion for what you're doing? Or like how did it like reinvigorate you, I guess, is what I'm
Yeah,
trying to
it
say.
has. Honestly, on roofing and construction, I've been burned out doing it 31 years. And just the things that, everyone thinks, like, if you're a business owner, you're rich, you got it made. And there's definitely good parts to it, but there's definitely bad. And a lot, and most people only see the good. They don't see the trials in the time it took you to get to the good part. They don't see even in the good part, like, you still have troubles. One year maybe you made 100 grand, the next year you lost 100 grand, or you made 1 million, you lost 400. It's just like so when you're burnt out, you don't really want to keep going. And the way this kind of worked is, I was like, we got a little money. Why don't we just move to Fiji and live on an island? And she's like, let's go. Because I had found this little boutique hotel for sale. And she's like, let's go. And I was kind of shocked. I'm like, what? I've lived out of country. I was willing to go. I was surprised she was willing to. And so she kind of shocked me and surprised me. I'm like, but then we'll have to have a job again. So yeah, it's beautiful. We can go swimming, whatever, scuba diving, but we need to
So
build
cool.
up a business here. And that's kind of how we decided to do that this year versus go off and be an airline pilot or go buy a little boutique hotel. Um, so that did invigorate me. It's like, okay, well, let's build this business together the next 3-5 years, whatever it takes to get to a certain point. And we want to have $100 million in assets under management in the next 5 years. Bringing in a $10 million minimum income so that we can help those that are in our organization with good paying jobs and provide affordable living for 1,000 people. So with that goal, yeah, that's a big goal, and so it's scary, but it's also like, hey, it's also motivating. Like, let's get her done. So
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's amazing because you guys are stepping out of your comfort zones together. And that's such a cool thing being able to do that with your partner. So we're really happy for you. And I wanted to kind of switch gears a little bit. I know you're an aspiring RV park owner. You're doing all these amazing things inside the community. I see you being active. What is the interest about when it comes to these parks and in the I guess the enticing part about being an owner? Why is it so important to you?
well, when we decided to become, real estate investors, we're doing a couple fix and flips and a couple custom builds from the ground up for spec homes. They'll bring in some cash, but it's not the long term. And so we the RV parks were I was thinking let's go into apartments. You look at people that are doing these big apartment complexes. In 5 years they're selling them and making 30, 40, $100 million, whatever it is. So I was kind of looking at that, but we weren't set. We were looking at RV parks, storage units, mobile home parks, all that kind of stuff. And as we are talking, Jen just really didn't like the idea of apartments, even though we wouldn't manage them. We'd buy bigger ones because I don't want to be changing toilets. We want to have a big enough apartment complex you can have management in place and provide jobs to people and it's not just about ourselves, it's about others. So it came down to we were talking with people about RV parks, and the reason we like them is unfortunately in our society right now there's a lot of government rules that don't protect the owners of the property, and it's got to be a fair ruling, but it can't be so lopsided for the owner or so lopsided for the tenant. It's got to be in the middle. And so one reason we decided not to do bigger, that we decided to go with RVs is because there's not really the tenant laws. You don't have people that live there full time. And even when you do that, you can still set it up that they're still a guest and a tenant, not or a guest, not a person that lives there by the terminology and how long your rents are for.
Mm.
So that really helps a lot. If their machine and rig breaks down, that's not your responsibility. You got the land issue. You don't really have probably as much insurance as like a little apartment complex. You're going to have things to do and take care of for sure. But we felt like it was a little bit easier. And we do like to travel. We like to camp. We have an RV. We have a cab over camper. Um, for big family or just the two of us. So we like to get out and road trip. And so that kind of goes along with it too, with what we already like doing. We're not going to go probably visit and stay in an apartment complex, whereas we'd go stay in our RV. So it all just kind of came together that RV parks were the way we wanted to go. Plus, there's a lot of other benefits to them. They're really a great uh, long-term asset like any real estate, but they also have decent cash flow in the beginning, and you can actually do tax write-off and depreciation on a larger percentage of the RV park versus, like, say, an apartment complex. And so you can get that bigger depreciation up front. So there's some benefits to them that we liked, and mostly just Jen didn't want to be a tenant manager, and we're partners, so I gotta listen to what she wants to.
Yeah, yeah, that's really cool that you guys are making that transition, and it's gonna be a really great move for y'all. I know I'm a big fan of RVs. My parents have an RV, so I've spent a lot of time in them. So personally, I think they're great. But for somebody, so let's say we focus a lot on the military because Paul's ex Air Force. I come from a Navy background. So for somebody who is getting out of the military or who is or was a general contractor and wants to get into being an investor, whether it's single family, multifamily, RV parks like yourself, what would you say is like the biggest advice you would have for them?
The biggest advice I'd have is to look at the different asset markets and see what the thing is that is your passion. Like if you like storage units, then learn about that. If it's RV parks, learn about that. If it's, whatever it is, learn about the thing you're passionate about and probably invest in that item. So then you're going to feel more comfortable with it. You're going to like it better. Because it's not always going to be cherries. It's not always going to go exactly like you want. And if it's something you love and are passionate about, you're going to be more comfortable when it's in a downturn. And you just got to realize you got to hold it. Whereas if it's something you didn't like in the first place, you're probably going to be a little more agitated when things aren't going the way you thought they were going to. And nothing in life is guaranteed. So it's going to have ups and downs.
It's a great view of it. I really like that take.
Thanks.
Yeah, it's awesome. Norman, I got one final question for you. And this is something that Mike and I like to do, kind of exercise those creative muscles, so to speak. If you could wave a magic wand right now and you could see what your end game looks like, what does your perfect life look like for Norman?
Besides your island.
Well, I mean, when we have the assets under management with the cash flow, we want to provide 1,000 livable spots for people. So that's another thing about RVs is you can let people live there, um, on a full-time basis per se, where they can now be more affordable because it only costs three to $700 a month to rent a spot. Or rents right now on homes and even studio apartments are so crazy. 12, $1,500 for a studio. So we want to, our perfect world is we hit those targets. We're providing affordable living for people. We're providing good paying jobs to our park managers and property maintenance people. And and then our teams that are working with us, of course, are making good money. And we can run those teams remotely. We love to travel. I've done a lot of traveling before meeting Jen, and now I've been able to start taking her places. And we would like to get to the point that we manage our people and our teams remotely as we travel the world. I mean, we'd be gone. If I had the money, we'd just be gone all the time. 3 months here, get there and go, oh, I don't like it. Let's leave early and jump somewhere else. Just whatever you feel like doing, and just really immerse yourself in the culture. Going for a week or two is great, but if you could live there 2, 3 months, you'll get into the culture and really see the people and learn how to love and respect them, and that's what we'd like to do.
That's incredible. All right, well, it's gonna happen, brother. We know it is. But before you get out of here, we got three things you got to drop for these viewers. Which folks, write these down. You're gonna need to. You're gonna want these from Norman. What do you have, Norman? What do you need? And for those people that want to get what you have, how can they reach you?
Well, what I have is as we buy RV parks, we're going to have the availability for people to make passive income on returns if they'd like to invest with us as we get to that point. We're not quite there. In the meanwhile, we're doing some fix and flips, $2 million fix and flips, and some smaller builds where, again, you could invest with us and we'll use your money to build them and give you a nice return on them. What I also have is I can help you with some counseling or some guidance on if you want to learn how to do some fix and flips and things like that. I could give you a little bit of guidance and lead on that and on how to do it. Um, and then what do I need? Uh, we we all need teams, so I'm building that out. But everybody always needs capital. Like I probably would have already bought a park or two if I had the capital. So working on that right now. All my capital's tied up into these other three projects, so we can have some stuff flowing. But capital definitely would be a top priority. Figuring out and finding the park, that's not too bad. We've been learning how to do that and research and studying, so we're good there. But eventually, we're gonna need a lot more than just me and my wife. And how to reach out to me? You can reach me on. You can DM me at Instagram. I don't even know my dang name.
It's all right. We'll have it right down here for you, just in
I think
case.
it's Norman Fuller 66. And then my LinkedIn is, I don't know the name. Hopefully you guys have it or I'll send it to you.
We've got it. It's right down here, folks.
Oh, okay. All right, great. Norm Fuller for Facebook, or you can even email me at normf72@gmail.com. I haven't been posting as much as I should, so I will work on getting more of my content out there showing what I'm actually doing.
I love it.
Norman, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. We appreciate you. From one Owners Club member to another, thank you for being here, brother. And it was an absolute pleasure.
You guys are awesome. Keep up the good work.
Appreciate you. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. We'll see you next week, folks.